Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max and compare it against the iPhone 14 Pro Max and see which particular iPhone is the better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you between both these devices, there is probably a lot of reason for you to go ahead and keep your iPhone 15 Pro Max. I don't think there is a huge reason to go and upgrade to the 15 Pro Max. There's like lots of nice to have features, but I think for the average person, you're probably going to be totally okay if you still maintain and or keep your 14 Pro Max. But there's still, like I said, lots of reasons to not do that if you want to go and upgrade your device, whatever the case is. So the first thing I'll definitely tell you though, if you want to pick up either one of these iPhones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these iPhones, the iPhone 14 Pro Max on the front had a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, and it was a very good panel. It's still a very good panel. Apple is not selling this iPhone anymore, but it's a very good display. And I definitely do think, 120 Hertz, such a beautiful panel, and it's one of the better panels Apple's ever made. You're still getting that dynamic island on that particular iPhone too, which is really cool. And I think that kind of stuff makes this iPhone feel that much better in the hand because you're getting such a massive iPhone with a massive display, but it still has a very good display, which is something I really do like. So that is one of my favorite things going on with that iPhone. The 15 Pro Max is basically the exact same thing. So with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you're basically still maintaining that exact same display. So the same 6.7-inch display. It's still very good. It's basically the same exact thing. It is still having that always on display. The dynamic island is still there. So there really wasn't a change there. Apparently there's less bezel, but I don't really know if you really kind of see it. I think the big difference though that I've seen, at least with the bodies, is that the sides are a little bit more curvier than before. So that's something that kind of stands out to me. The 14 Pro Max was just completely flat, kind of sharp edges. With the 15 Pro Max, this one's kind of curved a little bit. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the iPhone 8 Plus and iPhone 7 Plus, but it's not as it's not as curvy, but it's still kind of there, which is actually kind of nice. So that's kind of one thing that kind of stands out to me. On the bottom though, this is probably the bigger difference because, one, you're getting that action button on the side that you can now actually configure, but the bottom is where that USB-C port is. And now you're actually getting USB-C on your iPhone, which all of you kind of know now, but that is also another really nice thing to have. You can basically go through and just, plug in a USB-C port here, or plug in a USB-C accessory and have it working from your iPhone. Lots and lots of devices have already had this, but it's really nice that we basically have this inside of our iPhones now, because that actually does change up a lot of things that we can do with our iPhone. Hopefully in the future, Apple will bring some more changes, but still, I'm very happy with the way Apple approached it this year, and I'm very happy they actually ended up bringing it. On the back, a few differences here too. So the iPhone 15 Pro Max now is made out of titanium this year. The 14 Pro Max was, I think, made out of aluminum. So you're still maintaining the same type of back, the same type of, camera capability as, it's a better camera, but the same triple camera setup, the same frosted glass back, which feels very nice. MagSafe capability, wireless charging, everything is pretty much the same on this type of device as last year in terms of the glass type of texture. But because it is titanium now, there were some people who did drop tests and they did kind of showcase that the 15 Pros, maybe the 15s in general, aren't as durable as the 14s. That's something we'll kind of have to test, I'm sure, as more and more people buy these iPhones and use them and break them. We'll kind of get an idea. But that is kind of something that doesn't make me super happy. The 14 Pro Max was actually made out of stainless steel. So keep that in mind, I kind of misspoke there. Not out of aluminum. So basically on the outside, that's essentially how both of them kind of compare. Lots of similarities, but also lots of differences this year too, which is actually pretty cool. Now, moving on to the camera side of things. I will tell you from as far as I can tell, there really isn't this massive difference in terms of the camera this year. Clearly there's obviously some differences and I'm really happy about it, but you are actually still maintaining a lot of similarities between both of these cameras. So with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you're getting a better camera setup for sure. The 14 Pro Max also had a triple camera setup, wide, ultra-wide telephoto lenses. Now, we do have super high resolution photos we can, kind of take photos in, 24 and 48 megapixels. Probably the 14 Pro Max only had 48 megapixels, which is interesting. Apple also states that they're having this next generation, portraits and focus modes with depth control. So this basically gives you the capability of changing a lot of your focus modes and everything after the fact, after taking photos, which is actually really cool. And I actually do like that a lot. Is it a massive difference? I don't know. I don't know if I would go and upgrade from a 14 Pro Max to a 15 Pro Max camera, but once again, it is a nice to have kind of improvement. 4K at 60 on the front and the back between both, but there is a new zooming type of capability between both. So as far as I remember, the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I just tested this on the iPhone 14 Pro, you could basically do 15x zoom. So you could do 3x zoom, 2x zoom, or 1x zoom. Basically now on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, you have the capability of going through and actually doing 5x zoom. So you could do 25 technically X zoom from your iPhone, which is crazy. And it's kind of funny because now we have like that little like square camera on the top right, which I think the previous iPhones had. You can kind of like, it's kind of like what the Samsungs have. So it's a really nice touch, and I'm really happy that we have that type of capability on this iPhone. It's a very good camera. It's a very solid camera. I think it looks amazing. Is it perfect? I don't know if there's going to ever be a perfect camera, but I'm actually really happy with the way this specific camera is kind of held up so far from that perspective. It's a very solid camera. I'm sure a lot of people are going to like it and use it, but I would still say if you have a 14 Pro Max, I would just probably keep that camera, to be honest. Like, I feel like I wouldn't go and upgrade just because of the camera. But like I said, it's a nice to have feature, and I'm actually very happy with the way Apple approached the cameras this year, bringing in some, extra capability like that. And I think that in and of itself will make this camera hold up that much better throughout time. So from that perspective, that kind of covers it up there too. Now from software longevity, this is going to be a pretty basic thing. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is going to be the longer lasting iPhone here. You're basically going to be getting an iPhone on the 15 Pro Max that's going to be the longer lasting one. So if you're buying an iPhone today and you're wanting to get the longer lasting one, the 15 Pro Max is going to be the one that's going to be lasting the longest amount of time here. It's no secret. I think everyone kind of knows this kind of stuff. I think with the 14 Pro Max, that's a very good iPhone. It's a very solid iPhone in so many different ways. But I definitely would say, like I said before, the 15 Pro Max is probably the one that I would recommend more people to buy just because it's newer. It's going to have the most features, and it's going to give you the longest amount of support for software than the 14 Pro Max. But as of right now, it doesn't really matter. You're probably going to go and upgrade from your 14 Pro Max, before that phone gets unsupported with software. So that kind of covers it up there too. Now, in terms of the actual performance between both of these devices, very, very similar types of performance, as far as I can tell. So with the 14 Pro Max, you are getting that A16 Bionic chip inside, which is very good. I feel like that's a very good chipset inside that device. With the iPhone 15 Pro Max, we are now getting basically the first Pro chip inside of our iPhones. So we went from an A16 Bionic chip to an A17 Pro chip, which is crazy. So basically you're getting one extra core of your GPU, which is nice, but I'm sure that, the speeds are going to be clocked higher and everything like that. I've done a little bit of gaming on my 15 Pro Max already with Genshin Impact, and it does seem like, I don't know if it's faster than the previous iPhone, if I'm being honest, but maybe it's going to be like a placebo effect or whatever, but it seems like a very good iPhone. Don't get me wrong, it still has a long ways to go, but I like the 15 Pro Max. But I really like my 14 Pro Max as well, and I feel like that had a very good amount of performance from everything I was kind of testing. If you're a very heavy gamer, then maybe the 15 Pro Max is better for you, but the 14 Pro Max is still an excellent iPhone from that perspective as well. Another thing that kind of irked me though a little bit was that Apple actually basically gave us the same type of battery in both these devices. I feel like Apple should have actually gone through and either increased the battery size or gave us way more battery, something like, it's just the same battery, the same thing we've seen time and time again. And I feel like Apple should be improving their specific, performance or something here, but they still haven't done it. So we're kind of stuck in the same, area that we were before. So to kind of sum it up, what I'll definitely tell you is both these devices are great. I definitely would say if you have all the money in the world, go for the 15 Pro Max. Just go ahead and buy that iPhone and move on with your life. But if you don't want to do that, you can always go for the 14 Pro Max, save a little bit of money there, and still buy an iPhone that is still very good in so many different ways. So that kind of covers it up from that perspective. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.